Hey everyone, it's Stephanie and
Edmund back again. Finally, I got invited back. I'm excited.
You're tuned into the review of Married at First Sight Season 7, Episode 7. So I thought it would be cool to bring my husband back and kind of have a mid-season check-in because they're moving pretty quickly and we're like halfway through the season already, and a lot of you guys have asked me what he thought about Tristan and Mia and Dave and all of these things, so I thought it would be great for him to kind of jump in and share some of his perspective with you all. So this weekend or this episode, we see them go into settling in and living together. So we're starting to see some of the nuances that happen when they really start getting to know each other and what they like about each other, what they don't. And this episode specifically, besides the move-in, talks about them spending time together with friends and family. So, and they also get to spend time together as a group. And the interesting thing is, even though we're in episode 7, this is the first time that the opposite sexes are meeting together. So Dave and Amber have met Bobby and Danielle, but nobody has met Tristan and Mia as a couple. So even though we've been going on and on with this, it was like interesting to see them kind of meet for the first time and introduce each other. So we'll talk about that, but we'll kick off each couple, starting off with Bobby and Danielle. So, and you can jump in at any point. Bobby and Danielle, to me, are still coasting. I feel like the biggest thing that they have going on is these pets. I don't know, like there's just so much dialogue around the dogs and what they're doing, and you know, they have a good time with family. You can see she fits in really well with his family. She's very comfortable. She had one friend come over when they all had dinner. His family, of course, was there. They're very comfortable together. They enjoy each other. They're kind of coasting along. I don't really think there's anything that's exciting about them right now, or anything that causes right.
that you talking about Bobby and Danielle?
Yeah.
Oh, I was asleep. Sorry. Jeez, they're so boring. Man, they're like easy like Sunday morning every day. Like on a Saturday night.
Right.
What do they do on Saturday nights? Like,
I don't know.
Go to sleep.
Play
like
with the dogs.
Look at those. Oh my God. And I mean no disrespect. If you're watching this, I don't care. You're just boring. But it's just, it's like, it's not made for TV. It's made for a great home.
Yeah.
They put it this way. Let's talk about it for real, right? All jokes aside, they have a great relationship, or at least it seems like it. Mm-hmm. They're vibing with each other, and they make a perfect match. And they both like pets, which is, you know, they have a lot going on with that whole foster dog thing, which I think is, you know, great from a humanitarian side. But geez, that's a lot to deal with. But as far as TV and oh my God.
Yeah, they're really, and I'm like teeter-tottering over like what I want for them, which is I probably want for them to be as even keel as they are, but one of two things. One, for television, it's kind of boring, and two, it's still very surface. Yeah, we touched a little bit on the credit card debt. They put it in the Excel sheet, but there's nothing really going on. So part of that coasting to me is just they're still in the safe space. They're still in that pink cloud. Everything is good. We don't have any real challenges yet, and I think the real challenges will reflect who they are and really how well they are together as a unit. So,
you know, and they said something. She said, you know, I haven't found anything. There's nothing I don't like about him. I have not met a couple yet that's been married more than an hour that doesn't have something they don't like about them. And then to me, it seems like a reflection of self. It's like if you think that this person is perfect, then do you think you're perfect yourself? Like, do you think that everything is just peaches and cream? And that's just not a marriage. Not that you have to have all this like gargantuan sized problems or issues like some of the other couples or one other couple has. But some of it's like, you know, like you like people because and you love despite, right? You love despite their flaws and you love them through those flaws, and maybe you're stronger in those areas. But to just say that they don't have them, it's just very surface. It seems like, you know, I feel like cell phones weren't invented the last time I said something like that. Like, I feel like it was 1987 or something. Like, what? I mean, to me, it's setting up for a harder crash, I feel like, if you don't realize that there are some things that maybe you guys aren't on the same page about, you know.
Yeah. And I think they'll figure that out, as the season goes along.
It's 2 weeks? It's only 2 weeks.
Yeah, so we'll see. So that's really Bobby and Danielle. I'm not going to waste too much time on them.
No, not on that.
No. So let's move on to, let's do Mia and Tristan. So, Mia and Tristan. Okay, so we're going to jump around, but you guys can follow along. So Mia and Tristan, to me, continue to show up surface. They show up at this dinner surface. When all the couples get together, they show up and they still don't really talk about it. And here's my thing. It's all about delivery. And I said a couple of videos ago that you can be honest without giving information. I know you don't want to be the center of attention. This is the first time you guys are meeting as like all three couples at the same time. However, the reason why this is the first time you guys are meeting is because you were in jail. So we all know about it at this point. She didn't talk about it, but he talked about it, and they all talked about it amongst themselves. So I think that it's just important how we deliver information, and we can set boundaries. Like Mia can even set a boundary like, hey guys, at some point I will talk about it, but I don't want this to be the focus of our first meeting. I just want to get to know you all and just have a good time. They, despite wanting to know more information, would have respected that. But instead, her and Tristan kind of like, teeter-tottered around it and didn't really discuss it. And like, no one's an idiot. So they're sitting there like looking around and, through the elephant in the room. And it just made it very, uncomfortable and inauthentic. And it's just another dysfunctional way of how they're covering up what's going on. And in the confessional, she says, we came as a united front. No, you didn't. You didn't come as a united front. You came, fronting united because there was nothing authentic or nothing really empowering about the way you guys showed up. You didn't show up as a team that was really authentic in the experience. It was just like, we're not going to talk about it, and that's what it is. So that really bothered me with them.
Yeah, it's kind of like people say, the best way to build trust is to be open and be vulnerable and let people in a little bit. And what it seems like they're both doing is deflecting, and they're using humor to deflect and like, oh, dude. And everybody at the table was like, really? Like, are you seriously going to just giggle this off? And it wasn't, and it's something they could have sternly addressed and say, and she said, if I talk about it, I just start crying. And I also, this brought up a point that you said. I think that's a daddy's little girl plea. Because as a man, a lot of us don't like to see a woman cry. Even if it's not our woman, just any woman, it's just not a fun experience. It's kind of like you don't want to see a baby cry. It's like, oh, what's wrong? And that whole, I don't want to talk about it or I'll cry. It's kind of like that, oh, well, let's not make you cry. Mm-hmm. It's like a get out of jail free card kind of. And I saw that, and I see that pattern starting, and then she gets really like emotional and blah, blah, blah when she's trying to get her way. And I'm not saying that that's just her. I'm just thinking that other people may do that too. You may notice that in yourself, that you may go to this, and even as men, when we are bad, or sometimes we'll try to hug. I do it sometimes. I try to hug her or try to, and sometimes she'll push me like, no, you don't get that right now. We have to work through this and be serious and be adults for a second, because sometimes we can try to, use emotion to cloud the truth. And I see that, and I hope I don't continue to see it, but it seems like a pattern.
Yeah. So there is another scene where Mia and Tristan meet with Tristan's mom. And that was interesting. I feel like Tristan's mom knows what's up. I think she's just being really diplomatic. Because if Tristan explained the situation to her as it happened, there are still some red flags. And Tristan's mom literally says, listen, lay it all on the carpet, because he eventually said, she gave me bits and pieces and didn't really tell me everything. And, it's a roundabout way of saying like she was lying. And she says, listen, lay it all out. You have to be honest. Have you told him everything that you need to tell him? And she said, yes. And I still don't believe that.
I think she told him everything she needed to tell him for what he asked, and he is deflecting, because I think he really just genuinely wants to be in a marriage. I think he loves the idea of being in a marriage and seeing this thing, but I don't think he loves being with Mia the way he's projecting it to be. And another thing, as a man, I mean, if you're watching this, please comment and let me know if I'm on another planet. But I was always taught to not throw the L word around loosely. And this whole "I love you" style, like it's kind of like he's like, "I love her, but I'm not in love." Bro, boy, do not. Don't go there, man. It's not like "I love you, bro. Let's go watch the game." No, I can say that with my homies and my frat brothers, but I'm not about to say that to a woman, let alone your girlfriend or your wife, because they're not gonna take it as, "Yeah, well, he loves me, but he's not in love." What? No woman wants to hear that.
And not one that was a stalker.
Yeah, and that's not a. It's like and that's also a tool too. So it's like you have two people, and I think that an expert needs to get in there quick, because I think they're creating this foundation on sand, and as soon as a Hurricane 1 comes along, it's gonna be a wrap. And one kind of came, but they just kind of let it breeze by. And I don't think she sat down and said who this guy was. Here's what it was. Here's my accountability. Here's what I did.
Right.
She did something. You know, like she was joking about. I was like, what if that was my mom?
Oh God, that would not work out.
You know, they dropped the charges. Well, where they pick them up from? Like, where?
Right.
You know, she's not. You know, my mom says she's too old a cat to be fooled by a kitten. Like, don't come at me with this. Oh, the police dropped the charges. Yeah. But where they go though? I mean, you know, where did they come? Who is this guy?
And this is still, like we've been saying for weeks now, this situation, because it has not been appropriately dealt with, is still showing up. So there's another scene where, you know, the next night, or the next morning, they talk about how they had an argument the night before, because Tristan was talking to Dave, you know, just kind of sharing his experience, and Mia overheard Tristan saying, you know, "I'm still building trust." And she is like upset about it because he didn't verbalize that to her, which I've heard him say that to her in a past episode, like, we got to work on trust. But how insane are you that you wouldn't understand that all of these things happen within the first few days of this marriage, in the first few days of you knowing him? So you guys are pretty much traumatized by this situation. How is it that 6 days later, because we're like day 11, day 12 now, you're not realizing that there's still trust to be gained? You know, like, trust is one of those things that, you know, you have it, and then when you don't, it takes a long time to get back. This is not something that you can race to get back, or do certain things and feel like you've earned it. And especially in their case, they've been together like 42 seconds. So the fact that she's so immature to be upset that, you know, she overheard him saying trust needs to be built. And when he explained it to her, she said, "Oh, well, that makes sense." It's like...
Well, she still had that little, you know, it's an issue if he has a cloud and well, what? I mean, think about it this way. And I was wanting to get on a while ago, because her dad really pissed me off with this whole, who is he? They were grilling him at the wedding. Like, this guy was some stalker. And your daughter is the culprit. The one that's the victim is the one who's... Imagine if the roles were reversed and Tristan had got caught with that. Man, it probably would have been over. You know, and it's just... It's a little different from a man's point of view. I mean, it's a lot of other things that you wonder about, and abuse and things like that, which is, I get it. But at the same time, it's like, you got arrested at an airport. Like, you know how hard that is to happen? Like, and to me, it's just like... I don't know, man. I really think that that's just not uncovered, and I don't know if it ever will be. I think they're just going to sweep it under the rug and keep it pushing,
and it will continue to show up as it has, because it's, you know, there's a lack of authenticity, there's a lack of maturity, there's a lack of wanting to deal with things head on, and there's a lack of truth. So you mix all of that into a bowl, and you get this, where every week it's going to be something coming up on top of their insecurities separately. They came in very insecure, like, I hope he likes, you know, she likes me, or does she like me? And, you know, I hope he likes me, and I hope I'm good enough for him. And all of this baggage that we all come with baggage in relationships and in marriage that we need to unpack. But when you start adding like lies and really unnecessary crap about on top of it, it becomes something that at some point, if it's not really, really dealt with, something that can like ruin the marriage or the relationship or whatever the experience may be. So my advice for them would be to just be as authentic as they can be, and just stop lying. You know, at this point, I think it's damaging though, because she's already lied. So in my mind, if that happens again, I feel like Tristan would be like, another lie, you know?
Yeah, I mean, so you said something that you didn't believe, where she said that this was the first time she's felt this way so soon.
Oh, okay. She said she's never fallen for somebody so soon, so quickly. The lie detector detected that was a lie. I don't believe that to be true because she seems to have very unhealthy attachments, and it seems to be something that she struggles with. So her saying that, I don't know. I mean, right now I have the way that I view her, and I really work on being open. So my goal is to, watch her as, open-minded as I can. But when she continues to validate kind of the things that we've already seen, then that really frustrates me, and it's hard for me to watch her in any other way. So that is Mia and Tristan. All right, so next we have Amber and Dave. Amber and Dave are showing a lot of their relationship in these episodes. We're starting to get to really know who they are. Right now, I'm feeling like I'm more Team Amber just because she seems to be more open-minded. She seems to be a little more flexible. We see them meet each other's friends, but separately. So there's a dinner where Amber introduces her best friend and her husband to Dave, and they have a dinner. Her best friend is a ball buster. She has a very big personality. She comes in with her husband. She kind of cuts him off from, drinking or what. I don't know what it is. It seems like I would venture off to say he probably has a drinking problem just because she was like, no, he has water. And so the way she presents is very off-putting to Dave. And so Dave automatically is kind of like Judge Judy, which he tends to be with a lot of things, as we have seen. Like the moment something is not reflective of how he would do things or how he likes things, he kind of starts to shut down in some way. And so they have their dinner, her best friend is basically like, I'm here forever, like we've been friends forever. I'll be here for 8 weeks, 8 months, 8 years. And we watched Dave and Amber have a conversation about that experience afterwards. And I kind of knew it would be exactly what it was, which was Dave saying that, he couldn't really be in a relationship like that. And in a roundabout way, kind of saying that like her best friend is kind of like not really the type of person, or that couple's not the type of couple that they would be around, that he would be around. And so Amber basically says, and she takes it better than a lot of people would, because we're naturally going to be protective about people we care about. She takes it and she kind of says, I don't really try to judge people's relationships, which is exactly what you should do, because yes, you've seen them in one facet, but you don't really know them. Whether their first presentation is like off-putting or not, when you know it's someone that your spouse really, really cares about or is really close to, you kind of give a little more grace for that situation, and you don't judge it based off of the first meeting. So
yeah, I would say it was a little off-putting. I mean, just to see it was kind of funny at the same time, though.
Yeah.
But it's funny. His tendency has seemed to be where he talks about what he doesn't like, and then he logically backs it up. He emotionally speaks about, I don't like this, I don't like that. And he says, but that's their relationship. I'm not one to judge, but you just already judged. So you just kind of did that. But I think he's not the only one. I think a lot of people do that. I think a lot of people judge situations or people, or want people to fit in a certain, bubble. And then when they don't, it's like your bubble's busted. And I don't know, it's just kind of weird to watch the way he kind of handled that situation. I also think that, he could have made light of it. He could have just said, wow, you got some strong friends, or, but that they don't have to be close. He and her doesn't have to be close. They don't have to be besties. And I think it was funny when she said, I'll be here for 8 days, 8 weeks, 80 years. I'm like, well, you could watch the kids for 8 days, 8 weeks, 80 years. Like you want to be here, show all the way up, so he could have had some fun with it, but he kind of, I don't know, it's kind of testy with a lot of stuff. And it's like my way. It's not my way to highway because he's still in it, but it just seems like emotionally is his way, or he's like checked out.
Yeah, and I'm liking that Amber is standing up for herself. Listen, we're not young kids who don't know ourselves. We're not in our early 20s. She's 36, he's 37. She says, I don't really, because he's talking about how excited he is for her to meet his friends. And she says, I don't really need any new friends. Now, I get that that's off-putting. And I would implore her to be open to meeting, new people. You never know what new connections you would have. But in some way, I was like happy that she set a boundary, because the way that I see it is that Dave has this circle of friends that is like his circle of perfection. And he wants to literally pluck her into that and make her fit. So this is a cast of characters that already exists. And she just needs to fit into it, and they can do all of his stuff that they've been doing with his friends. Like, his friends clearly are his lifeline, and they're his family, and they spend a lot of time together, and he has always kind of talked about the importance of that. So whoever he ends up with is someone that he wants to literally pluck away from whatever she had going on before. And he's not going to say that, but that's just how I feel about it. And put her into this cast of characters that works. He wants her to be besties with the wives' besties. He says, my guys' wives are all great people, which they might be great people, but his way in expressing himself is literally like, this needs to work. So the irony is, he wants her to be open and flexible about meeting his friends and creating those new connections, but he's pretty much just shut down their experience with her friends, saying that that's not really a couple that he'd want to spend time with, and that his friends would accommodate her friends, but he doesn't necessarily see that the other way around. So once again, it's Dave's way on Dave's streets in Dave's state in Dave's country, and it's like starting to be a resounding theme. And it was really interesting how nobody's family showed up. We saw some family with me and Tristan. We saw Tristan's mom. We saw some family with Danielle and Bobby, and a friend, but we didn't see any family with Dave and Amber. So that's something that's also concerning for me. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a very big concern. And I wanted to talk about some stuff there's a lot of things. I'll just kind of roll off family really quickly. One, the fact that there's no family around, like, it just seems so surface. I don't want to say this whole season, but a lot of these couples, they just seem so vanilla for TV, right? Where the hell are your family? Where are you? These are my family. It's like you're choosing, and I think that's the big thing. He started to choose what his environment and what his world looks like. And if it doesn't fit, whether you're my blood, you're my mom, my dad, my sisters, or whatever, if you don't fit, then you're not what I want. And that, to me, is a red flag. And I think they need to go through that. They didn't explore at least what happened. How did this happen? Was it them? Was it you? And that's something that's kind of weird to me. The other thing with Tristan, this whole, I didn't get to talk about this because I haven't spoken in a while, but this whole skin color thing, one of the things I despise. I don't like this, I don't like racism, period, but I definitely don't like it within the African American culture. As you can see, we're both of African descent, but we both have different shades, but that wasn't what neither one of us were looking for. It's what happened. But this whole thing, and his mother being of darker, and his grandparents, and then you, for some reason, you have to have somebody lighter than you. What is that all about? And to me, I wonder how much does that play an importance of you trying to stick out this thing because she fits your profile, but she doesn't fit the character. Like, this is the person, no offense to me because I don't know her, but does this fit the person that you want to raise your kids? Does this fit the everything that you really want? And even with the whole brunette and blonde thing, and I actually stick with Dave on this one. He said a celebrity crush. He obviously is attracted to her, and this is an insecurity, but a lot of us go through these insecurities. And with men, it may not be the way we look. It may be where we are in life. It may be our money. It may be anything, how tall, whatever we may think. And I think it's not fair to project that upon somebody else, especially somebody that's loving you and giving and wanting to make something work with you. But I do think that they need to explore it. And I would love for the experts to, like, make them go deeper. Like, I feel like we're just coasting along an episode with no, it's like watching Harry Potter with no Voldemort. Like, where's the stuff at? And I don't see anything. Not that it needs to be drama, but this is marriage. Like, there has to be some growth and some connection. And I just think they won't go deeper if they don't go through any truths. And I just feel like they're hiding it all.
Yeah. So touching, and I know we're jumping around, guys, but I know you can, like, follow along. Going back to Dave and Amber, I'm glad that he touched on the insecurity portion because, we all come with our insecurities. a lot of people might think she's ridiculous and just, taking this too far. But you got to think, regardless of them being married or not, they've known each other for like 12 days at this point. So if somebody says, even if you're a spouse, that you've known for a long period of time, if somebody asked them in a secret room and you got to hear what their type was and it didn't look anything like you, that would be cause for alarm. And it would make you a little insecure, more or less, if, this is a new relationship and you're hoping to be the end all to this person. And although no one can be the end all, you present that way, especially since this was done, backwards, like where they get married first. And I love that Dr. Pepper came and, gave them that support and basically said, this is one of the reasons why the experiment takes place in the way that it does, because it allows people to get out of their own way and stop self-sabotaging by allowing people to, ignore themselves and be open. So if I make a choice for you based on what you really say you want, you can get over the fact that he's not a blonde with blue eyes, or she's not a certain complexion, or she doesn't have a certain body type. We all have our preferences and that's okay, but where do those preferences get in the way to you establishing a connection with someone that is beneficial for your life? So I'm glad that, that kind of came up. And I think that's really important for Amber to process, because what she's going to start to do is feel so insecure that she starts to show up in a way that is less attractive. And he's going to pick up on that. So it's not that she isn't attractive. I mean, she's a gorgeous woman and he obviously is very attracted to her. But when you start to really suffer on the inside, it starts to show up on the outside, and then people start to see it. It's almost like if someone said, "Oh my God, you have great skin," and I said, "Oh no, I have a pimple right here." Now that's all you can see. Why? Because I pointed it out. So we have to be careful about really working through our insecurities and really working through them, not just getting over them, but working through them so that we can present ourselves in our most, optimistic way. So that's my 2 cents on that.
I mean, I understand that, as a woman, she wants to be, both. We all want to be desired. And I think that's her inner story. But I think Dave also, because he knows that that's her inner story, that he might need to go a little bit further with her until she settles in a little bit. Show her, he's going to have to affirm her a little bit more, learn her love language, and really give her a little bit more. And this may be a little doting, but it's to build that foundation. And then once she feels a little more secure, then I think he doesn't have to do it as much. But he definitely needs to continue doing that. Keep romancing her and keep giving her that affirmation and telling her she's beautiful. And, because there's somebody out there that loves, tall. In Dallas, I used to live in Dallas. A lot of them love the blonde. That look that she has is adored by a lot of people. That, and I was looking for a blonde leprechaun, but, I ended up with Steph. It just happens,
Consolation prize.
That's what melts my butter, right? You show me a blonde leprechaun, female, my butter is melt, but you can melt my cream cheese.
Oh my God. So anyways, y'all, no. Anyways, so there's one more thing that you guys asked about, regarding him. You wanted him to know that, he has all these props, and if it was actually butter, you guys would get it, but we don't have any, so
we ran out.
So that's
where the pause came from. It didn't work. I got in trouble.
Yeah, he did. So one more thing, I know you guys were asking his opinion on the complexion issue, which he already touched on, but there was one more issue that you guys wanted to know about, and it was about Dave regarding Amber and kind of the whole backstory with how a man really feels, and is he overreacting regarding the fact that she's probably, kicked it and has been intimate with one of his friends. And I say friends loosely because it's not really his circle of friends. It's like a friend from the gym. To me, it's like, how close is this friend? Like, is this an acquaintance from the gym? Either way, it's not a good look, and I definitely wanted him to answer that for you guys, just from a male perspective on how he would feel.
Okay, first, let me talk to the guys first. This is why you go by the rule, a gentleman never tells. I was raised by a single mom and a bunch of sisters, and you just need to keep your mouth shut. And I'm talking about this other guy who was talking to Dave. And first of all, it's just not appropriate, because actually, it doesn't seem like the way he talked about it. I don't know. It seemed like locker room talk, guys, that was just not what he would say in front of her. I don't know if he was disrespectful, but I'm sure it wasn't what, And that could have, you know, ladies ain't got, that could be a range of conversation. You know, she could have been the Hoover Dam in the conversation. You know, she could have been, you'll get that tomorrow. But she could have been all types of things that you just don't want to hear about your wife, and they go to the same gym. I would probably change gyms, to be honest with you. And yes, it is that serious. You don't want to, can you just say, oh, just get over it? And I know women, you guys a lot of times put up way more than what we do. We're so sensitive about that, and you all deal with way more, even in the marriage. You know, you deal with a lot, you know? I mean, we watched Scandal for years, and it's like, how do you, like, this guy's doing, she's doing campaigns with her. But anyway, with that, it is very tough for men because our pride is so sensitive that if we have to keep going by this guy, no matter what he said, we don't feel like, we could feel like somebody's been with our wife in a way that we know too vividly. If somebody's dated or this is their ex, or you understand the unwrittens, you know what happened, you know, it's kind of, but normally if somebody's dated somebody or they, you know, they leave it to a level where you can think in your head that this was at least a respectful dating situation or they kicked it around, whatever. But you don't know the details and and he even said that I wouldn't be with her if, that's also, I think, might play into his insecurity. He's saying a lot of things that are very damaging in a marriage. You know, if you were dating, you could say that. But to say that in a marriage is very tough to get over. She can't help that they got matched that way. It's not her fault. She didn't do anything wrong. They're grown. And I'm sure he's had situations. They just didn't have to be thrown in her face. And she probably would handle it better. I would think she probably would. But that's a tough one. You know, it's a real tough one. But you signed up for this, you know. And I think if you want to eliminate yourself from being... Now, if it was one of his guys in that circle... Yeah. Then I get it. We would just have to stop. Right. You know, if it was one of my groomsmen, you know, something like that. And even that some people get through, but I don't think they've been through enough in Married at First Sight, 7 days, 10 days, to really have that stickiness to stay through if it was somebody really, really, really close. But that's a tough pill to swallow, and I don't think it's over. I don't. I think when they get back into the gym and they see each other, I don't know how that's going to go. But it's going to trigger that emotion again. And hopefully he can kind of really get through it. But I think he might need a little bit of counseling or work through to do that.
Yeah, agreed. So that's his take. You know, Amber and Dave, I think they have potential to close up. You know, I think they're the couple that has the most potential if they get out of their own way. They have a lot of stuff to work through. But they're not this obscenely matched couple with all this drama that can't make it work. It's just, you know, are they willing to make it work and get over the things that they have going on? So that's it. You have anything else you want to add?
I just want to know everybody's thoughts about some of the things that we brought up today. Specifically, where do you think any of these couples are going to end up? I'm just curious. Based on the stuff that's kind of surfaced. Do you feel like some of this stuff is going to come out later? Is it boiling? Is it not? Or is it just going to kind of vanilla all the way through? Mm-hmm. Like the acting on 50 Shades of Grey. Like, are we going to stay at that level, or are we going to go deeper? Yeah. Shade. But anyway, I love, you know, being back on. Glad you all asked for me to be back. But I will tell you, my opinions is just one male's opinion. I'm not a therapist. I'm not somebody licensed or anything like that. I've just been through a lot. But my wife, she has brought so much value to this, and she really loves doing it. She really, I wish you could see her behind the scenes. She really gets a lot into this and prepares and really gives you all, you know, some good therapy, you know, via YouTube. So, you know, I really appreciate you all for supporting her. I would love for you to like, comment, and subscribe. And it's just amazing to see her growth and see you all benefiting from it. So just know that I'll be here few and far in between, but it's really just to support her and to just be a support system. So hopefully you all enjoy it and maybe give you all a couple chuckles, because this is who melts my butter.
Anyways, I better melt your butter. Anyway.
We don't even have no butter. You melt my olive oil.
Anyways, yes, comment, subscribe, like. I will bring him back on because I know you guys like to see him, every now and then, and definitely towards the end so we can talk about couples predictions. But in the meantime, we have a flight at 4 a.m., so we gotta go. But we wanted to reach out and have this review, and I can't wait to chat with you guys in the next coming week. Everybody have a great night.